It's a very light Sunday. There are just 3 games on. We're going to preview who we can stream in to win our points leagues, our category leagues, the individual categories, all of that stuff. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and there are 2 things that I can't stand in the world: people who are intolerant of other people's cultures and Canadians. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky at joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, because right now new customers can get their or finish their season strong with $250 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Go to FanDuel.com to get started. Also, check out LockedOnDaily.com and sign up for our newsletters. The best newsletter covering your favorite NBA team. LockedOnDaily.com is where you want to go and do that. Don't want double bangs, don't want comments, don't do it. Just leave me alone. Just leave the show alone. Don't write anything on these videos. It really gets to me. We look at a Sunday. There are only the 3 games on, so obviously that's important to get. So let's have a look at what we're talking about in terms of the schedule and what's not. I don't normally do this on a Sunday, but I thought I'd pop this little bit up. We've got the Rockets and the Raptors at 6 p.m. Eastern start. We've got the Pacers and the Kings, which is also a 6 p.m. Eastern start. The Kings are 3.5-point favorites there. You got a 236 total. And then you've got a 7 p.m. Eastern game, the Nuggets and Pelicans, and that is Denver, 9-point favorites on the road with a 233.5 total. So 3 games on. Incredibly early finish to the day on Sunday. That means we'll get an early recap show coming here as well. But that's how things play out. Rockets at Raptors, Pacers at Kings, and Nuggets at Pelicans for the 3 games on Sunday before we load into an absolutely monster 14-game day on Monday. So let's go ahead and take a look at the streaming options we're going to have a look at on this day. Again, it's a day where I talked about this on the Week 10 preview show that went up earlier today. That if you want to really maximize stuff for next week, streaming in a Nuggets player, if there are any of those guys available that make sense for you, streaming a Nuggets player on Sunday helps because they're the only team that plays Sunday that also plays on Christmas Day. They're the only team that does that. So, they've also got the back-to-back Sunday to Monday, but Monday's 14 games, so anyone off the wire, you're probably not playing on Monday anyway, but getting that Sunday-Wednesday combination in might be useful. Now, the thing is that with the games on Sunday, is that most of the good streaming options of the available players come from almost any team that isn't the Denver Nuggets. So that does make that a little bit tricky. Of course, your league is going to be different. And if you are playing in a Yahoo Points League, let's take a look at 6 names who are all under 40% rostered, some of them under 10% rostered for you double Onyx, Diamond, Titanium, Platinum Legends. 6 names that I think are going to be worth looking at. And we'll start in Toronto with John Mogbo, who is starting at center or has been starting at center. Jakob Poeltl is out. The difference here in this game versus the last game is that Rowan Barrett is going to return, but Poeltl and Quickly are going to be out. Bruce Brown remains out. So I think they'll start with Mogbo at center. There's Lydic, there's Boucher, there's Jameson Battle's been getting minutes. Bruno Fernando last game, by the way, with Poeltl out, didn't play a single second. So Darko could go something different, especially in an Alperen Şengün revenge game narrative for Bruno Fernando. But I think Mobo's an interesting guy there. Of course, he's very risky, but he is a guy to look at. Timothy John McConnell in Indiana. We've still got no Aaron Nesmith, although his return could be coming next week. But McConnell in his 17, 18, 19, 20 minutes, whatever it is, there's a little bit of value in him. I think Dillon Brooks is a very strong points league stream as well for Houston. The problem with Brooks, obviously, is it's one of the wider ranges of outcomes. He could do absolutely nothing, but he could also play 35 minutes in a game where Tari Eason is out. He could have 16 or 18 real-life points and get 30 fantasy points, but he is a risky one. Andrew Nembhard is probably less risky, but the higher floor, lower ceiling than what Brooks is. We know he's going to start. He played 33 minutes in the last game, Nembhard, which is obviously impressive. And then Obi Toppin, who, much like John Mogbo, is a big man. Is that the similarity? Maybe. But Toppin doesn't have that starting path. Neither does... Maybe Toppin's more like TJ McConnell. A high value per minute player that the minutes is going to be the big determining factor here. Like, can he play 21? Because he played 17 in the last game. And how do they want to use him in that spot? And then Chris Boucher also is like Toppin and is like McConnell. A reserve player who might play 20 minutes, but does have pretty good per minute fantasy value. And that's where Chris Boucher can really start to bring home some of that value. For ESPN points leagues, it's basically the same 6 players that I think really do profile as the guys we take a look at, but it's the order of it's slightly different. TJ McConnell and Obi Toppin sit up the top, a couple of Pacers guys there. Mogbo coming in 3rd, Andy Nembhard coming in 4th, Dillon Brooks 5th, and Kevin Huerter, Fanapants, coming in 6th. Huerter is going to be a bench guy there as well, obviously in Sacramento with Malik Monk starting now. And all of these guys, no one stands out as this awesome, wow, we know we're getting guaranteed numbers out of them, but there is value here. We also talked about on the Week 10 preview show, talking about the Indiana Pacers, how they've got 6 games coming up over the next 9 NBA game days. So when you're streaming players in, someone on the Pacers, whether it is a Nembhard or a Toppin or a McConnell, you get 6 games over the next 9 nights where you can potentially use those guys depending on volume of games and how often you're going to get them in there. But they are some interesting type of options, interesting type of players that can be used and can be available. We're going to come back and we're going to look at category leagues in a second. Before we do that, today's episode is brought to you by Skylight Frames. Yes, it is Christmas time, and we've still got a few days left before Christmas, but what Skylight Frames is a digital photo frame, and it's one of those great gifts that you can send to somebody. They can put up on their wall, they can put it on their ledge, on their table, whatever, and then you've got a way to be able to connect people right across the country, right across the world, where you can just send photos to their device. Couple of ways to do that. You do that via an app, and it's easy to set up. You set up your own app, and I've got that app on my phone for my Skylight frame. But you send the app link to somebody else. You tell them the name of your frame. They connect it, and then they can send photos, and they just appear on your frame. Or there's an email address even, so they don't have to even bother getting themselves the app. They can just email photos through to a specific email address for your frame, and there they are. They pop up as well. A great way to be able to connect people right across the country. It's a touchscreen as well, 2 different sizes, a 10-incher and a 15-incher as well. And now it's a limited time offer for all of you guys here. You get $20 off your purchase of a Skylight frame when you go to skylightframe.com/NBA. That is SKYLIGHTFRAME.com/NBA. Get $20 off your purchase now at skylightframe.nba. Okay, so we're here, of course, talking about the games on Sunday, the 22nd of December, streaming options to try and get that big W for the week. And we'll talk about the category leagues now. We'll go into the points category, which is always the one that most people, their eyes naturally gravitate towards. I've got Dillon Brooks sitting up the top there. Of course, he could score 20. He probably won't, but he could score 20. So if you're looking for points, Dillon Brooks is a pretty good option. You've got Obi Toppin on that list, and TJ McConnell, names that you've heard mentioned a lot. Same with Andrew Nembhard. All these guys are under 40% rostered on Yahoo. And there is an ability to potentially stream those guys in a lot of different spots. You've got, for the deeper leagues, the Double Onyx, Diamond, Platinum, Titanium leagues, even a Chris Boucher or a Kevin Huerter. Now, both of those guys as well, even though they're limited minutes players, they've got the upside to drop a 17-point game. Or in Huerter's case, he could hit 7 threes and get 21 points. Yeah, not easily, but it's not crazy to think that. So there's value in a lot of it's not the biggest slate. There's only 3 games on, but there's value in a lot of these players who can be used, like Toppin, McConnell, Brooks, Nembhard even, and even Huerter. You could think that they could be actually just sitting on 12-team rosters, but they might not be because they have been dropped, and rightfully so, in a lot of different spots. But this is the time to take advantage of the availability of those players. In terms of 3-pointers, that often does tie in with scoring, and we've got a lot of similar names there. Dillon Brooks is there. Kevin Huerter is there. We already talked about his 7 threes upside. Obi Toppin can hit some threes. He might be a 2 to 3 triple player. Ochai Agbaji is getting pretty good minutes in Toronto. Now, he is a relatively low volume player. And with both RJ Barrett and Scott Barnes playing, the volume for Agbaji is not going to be even as high as it was in the last one. So that's what pushes him down somewhat. I've got Julian Strouder there, and then Jarris Walker, which is more for the deeper leagues. Walker sort of was phased out of the rotation. Not really. He played like 9 minutes or so, but that's not very much. But we're talking deeper league situation, only 6 teams playing. At times, you just want to get someone who's getting some minutes. Maybe you could even substitute like an Aaron Holiday in there who got minutes, I think 15 minutes or so last game. Maybe it was only 10 minutes. With Tari Eason out, and they played a little bit more Reed Shepherd at the 2 in that position. In terms of rebounds, well, the Raptors starting center is the position, isn't it? It's John Mogbo and Chris Boucher as both rebounding options we can take a look at there. And then Agbaji and Olynyk. That is just a lot of Raptors. And honestly, that is where the value lies in terms of streaming. You could even chuck in, like, not necessarily for rebounds, but like you got Mogbo, Boucher, Agbaji, Olynyk. You could throw Davion Mitchell in as a stream option just in general for the day. If he is out, you throw in Jamal Shed as the guy that takes his minutes. You could throw in Jacoby Walter, who's been starting. If anyone dropped the prestige penis grade A Dick, well, you can just slide Dick into your lineup as well. There are so many different streaming options in Toronto that depending on your league size, they're going to be available. But for rebounds, again, using a 40% cutoff, I've got Mogbo, Boucher, Agbaji, and Olynyk. Kevin Huerter's not going to be a particularly high-level rebounder, but the minutes are pretty good, and the same goes with Dillon Brooks. You might get 5 out of him. You might get 6, which is okay. But guys like Agbaji can get you 9, Olynyk can get you 8, Boucher can get you 10, Mogbo can get you 11. I don't know why I just went 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe because it's a numerical order, and my brain just defaulted to that. That's also a pretty big possibility. The assists list looks different to the rebounds one. Andy Nembhard is a very easy 7 to 9 upside assist player here. TJ McConnell is also an 8 assist player. Now, TJ's minutes will be one to watch. Is he a 15-minute guy or is he a 20-minute guy? I think it's probably somewhere in the middle, 17 and a half. Bang. But TJ, we all know, is a high upside or high assist upside player. Kelly Olynyk and John Mogbo are the out of position assist guys here in Toronto. You might only get 17 minutes for Olynyk and 27 for Mogbo, but they could easily both get 5 assists, 6 assists even. And they're out of position guys. So you're talking about, do I need rebounds and assists? Well, maybe these are the 2 guys. It wouldn't be Boucher, who might get 1 assist over a month, but it could be these 2 guys. Kevin Huerter is also not a bad assist level player, and I did throw Jamal Shed in there. He might play 0 minutes, Shed, but if Davion Mitchell is indeed out, then Shed would step into that role. And I still believe that Shed is a better player than Davion Mitchell, but Mitchell and Shed could be the option to sort of mix and match there in terms of getting the assists onto your squad. In terms of streaming in the steals category, which, along with threes, seems to be one of the more streamable categories that's around. We've got John Mogbo and Andy Nembhard. That's what Mogbo does. He's not a shot blocker as a big man, but he's a steals guy. You got Nembhard there. Keon Ellis, well, we know that. That's a 6 steal upside player. Even though it might be 17 minutes, he could actually have 4 of them in that time frame pretty easily. TJ McConnell, also a good steals guy. Kevin Huerter, you don't really think of that way, but I think he did have 3 steals in the last game. Then Ochai Agbaji can get you 1 or 2 as well. But there are obviously really high upside guys there, especially Keon Ellis, who could, if anything goes wrong, like there's an injury to Huerter in the first 2 minutes, or someone gets in foul trouble, and Ellis plays 27, like 5 steals, absolutely possible. Absolutely possible for Keon Ellis to be able to bring that amount of steals to you. And I think you'd love it. We're going to cover blocks. We'll look at field goal percentage guys. We'll look at free throw percentage guys as well. But today's episode is brought to you by Built and Built Rewards, of course. If you are a renter, you got to listen up because this could be something that changes things for you. You don't have to do anything additional in terms of spending money, but you can actually gain money or gain value and gain rewards from using Built Rewards when you pay your rent. The perks are there and it's completely free. Earn those Built points on your rent and your everyday spending, and you could redeem those points with flights, hotel stays, and even future rent payments. You've got over 500 airlines included and over 700,000 hotels as well. The possibilities can be endless. You can use those points that you accumulate with Built Rewards for travel, and you can easily turn those rewards into rent and the rent that you pay into rewards. So if you're already paying rent, why not make it work for you? Start earning points on rent that you're already paying by go to joinbuilt.com/lockedonnba. That is joinbuilt.com/lockedonnba. Make sure to use that link so that they know that we sent you. Don't wait. Start earning points today. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but you can still get some regular season action cracking with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, and a new offer for you. If you are a new customer at FanDuel and the previous one didn't tempt you, maybe this one will. $250 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That makes it so easy to pick up a W. You can do it just by betting who's going to win the game. You can look at spreads, you can look at totals, but you can also do anytime touchdown scorers. You can do parlays, same game parlays of anytime touchdown scorers. You can do how many points will each individual team score. All of that is available, plus all your basic stuff as well, over at FanDuel. So go to FanDuel.com to join today. That is FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. Okay, let's go through the final couple of categories here. We're looking at blocks, and there's no gigantic, real big block standout names available here, I don't think. Chris Boucher is probably that, but he's not that high-level permanent shot blocker that he used to be in the past. It's just a pretty rough day in trying to get blocks in. Peyton Watson there, but in 18 minutes, he might get 1. If something happens and he pushes to 27, he might get 3, but it's risky. Probably one of the ones that's least risky, and even that's risky, is Keon Ellis, because he's a point guard. He's a shooting guard, however you want to say it, right? But he also might play 17 minutes. We saw the other day he had 5 blocks in 30 minutes. He's a great, and we talk about the assist getting Olynyk and Mogbo as an out-of-position assist guy. Keon Ellis is a great out-of-position blocks player. So when you're looking at Ellis and getting steals and maybe he hits some threes, well, you can add some actual blocks on top of that. That's a little bit of a sneaky one to do. You got John Mogbo, who's not a high shot blocker, but as a starting center, there's something there. O'Shea Abaji might get you a block, and same with Javonte Green, but they are obviously sort of bottom barrel scraping type options. Maybe not Mogbo as much just because he is starting, but he is not a high volume shot blocker. For field goal percentage, this is a relatively tough category to stream in on a day like this because a lot of the guys that are available are just really low volume, including especially the last 3 names there. So TJ McConnell and Obi Toppin are probably the 2 biggest influencers in this category who are going to be available on a lot of waiver wires. And it is, again, an out-of-position spot here for TJ McConnell. We know that he's a point guard, yeah, but he is like a 57, 58% field goal option player. You might get 7 or 8 shots out of him. That might be enough because, again, if you're trying to win a percentage category, you want to boost your percentage up and you want to hope that your opponent drops theirs down. You want the double whammy effect, which is different from counting stats, obviously, because you can't go backwards in counting stats. Once you've got 30 steals for the week, you're not going to 29. You're not going to 28. You're not losing them. But with percentages, if you're at 80, you can finish the day at 77. And your opponent can start the day at 78 and go to 81, and he's cooked you. So there are different ones, not in field goals, in that's free throws obviously, but in field goals you might be at 50 and you could drop to 47. You can jump to 52. See, those are the 2 categories that can go both ways, swinging in either direction. So yeah, McConnell and Obi Toppin are the probably high volume guys there. If we got 21 minutes out of Kelly Olynyk, he might be a decent volume player as well. He does take a lot of threes, but he is a pretty efficient guy in terms of getting field goal percentage. The last 3 names, they honestly might take 2 shots or 3 shots. They might hit them all. We're talking Tom Bryant, Steve Adams, and DeAndre Jordan. Well, that's backup centers. They might play 8 minutes. They might play 10 minutes. They might go 2 of 2. But like I said, just add 2 of 2 onto your total. Your opponent has a worse day, and that might be enough. It might be enough. Might not be, but it might be. The same thing we do is with free throw percentage here, and that's where Dillon Brooks can come in. He's got the minutes, so there is an ability to get those free throw attempts. If you've got Kelly Olynyk, also as a free throw player. And then we get a little bit iffy. Like Jordy Hawkins is a really good free throw guy. He doesn't play very much, though. But there is an ability for him to come in and get so a couple of free throws and just do a little bit of enough there. Andrew Nembhard's got the minutes advantage, so he can be a really good free throw player that way. Obi Toppin's the out-of-position rebounder, field goal, and free throw combination guy. And then if you're getting really deep into the weeds, which we are here, Aaron Holiday's an excellent free throw shooter, and that might be someone, again, just get a 1 of 1, a 2 of 2 with some extra minutes that we do think that Aaron Holiday is going to get. And that might be just something that can just at least get you close or maybe even push you over the edge. And that is a little quick Sunday preview with your individual category streams set up for the day. I will be back tomorrow with a waiver wire show. All of these Saturday games, which there are 12 of them, I will have written up over at Basketball Monster. There will be no recap show today, but all those games will be written up over at Basketball Monster with some comments on interesting things, and then we'll be back tomorrow to get back into the regular flow of things. You know what to do in the meantime, though. You thumb it up. You drop comments if you want. If you don't want to, whatever. Do whatever you want. But what I do want you to do, though, is to, again, just, let's be kind to others. It doesn't actually, I know this is stupid, but it doesn't cost anything to be nice. It actually costs even less to just not be bad, to not be mean to yourself or to others. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.